Welcome into the High Noon Rant with me, Pugs Moran. The High Noon Rant. Every day I sit here. Stream of consciousness. No breaks, no stops, no commercials, no songs, no traffic. We don't stop down to say hello to our good friend at Company X. We don't do that. This is just nothing but me with an unfiltered, ungoverned awareness of the world around me on this day. Just spewing. Typically goes about 2 hours. Today, maybe about an hour and a half. I'm just saying, I don't. It's a good show, though. There are some very. Look, this show is not only going to be informative, but I think it's going to be compelling. I think that's something that we should all shoot. One, when you do a stream, entertaining. That's number one, right? You got to be entertaining. But then I think you also want to be, relatable. That's important. And then compelling. You want to be compelling. That's the rarest. That's the unicorn segment. I think we got a couple. I don't know. I'm just saying. How are you today? Welcome in. Come on, get in the chat room. We got Byron in the chat room. We've got Jeff. We've got April. We've got Cam. We've got Leslie. The chat room is just filling up. Taronda, of course, first one in today. Appreciate that. Come on, grab your futons, your yoga mats, whatever it is. Form your soul circle of life. Join hands and let's get informed. That's what this show is. Been doing it for 2.5 years now. Every day at noon, I sit here. I wake up early, go through all the news sites. I watch all those horrid morning shows so that you don't have to. I find out what people are talking about. I put it all together. I give it to you at noon. The High Noon Rant. It's a stream of consciousness adventure for the ages. I don't know. Because this is an exercise. This is not a broadcast version of Pugs Moran. This is a whole different thing. This has got like some improv in it and all that. I do things with this stream, the stream of consciousness that would never be able to do on radio. And to that end, if you do support this kind of radio, we are funded entirely by your gratuities and your appreciations. You've gotten us through it for the last 2.5 years. I do thank you. So if you'd like to drop a little something, going to leave that up. How you support the High Noon Rant. And that's it. I'll maybe mention it one more time. Maybe two. Maybe one time in the middle. Maybe one time at the end. But I'm not going to beat you all over the head about it. You know how this show runs, and I appreciate it. Okay, how do we actually do the show? Well, we do it in 4 quarters. First quarter, we do a thing called antecedently on this day. It's this day in history. We just go through some things that happened on this day. Quarter 2, birthdays. We look at people who were born on this day and we decide, are they cool? That's really the long and the short of that whole segment. Quarter 3 is the deads. I like the deads. The deads are where we look at someone who died on this day and then we decide, by our understanding of, Judeo-Christian prerequisites for entrance to either heaven or hell, where'd they go? Person X died today. Well, he did this back in 1945. That'll get him put in hell. So, that's what we do with the deads. That's quarter 3. Quarter 4, meat and potatoes, where the rubber hits the road. That's where quarter 4 is where we run through. It's the bulk of the show. Quarter 4 is where we run through all the day's hot topics, headlines, current events, trends, whatever it is that people are talking about. Okay, so if you're with me and you're ready to begin, do I have anything else I need to get off my chest? Now is the time before we dive in. Had a hell of a morning around here. Many of you know we do the show here from the 1%er compound in beautiful Highland Park, Texas. I say beautiful. It's a bit overcast. You notice I'm all washed out with the light. Ed from RadioMisfits.com hates this. He's a perfectionist. And, he looks at this show and he's like, God, could you phone it in anymore? And I'm like, I don't know. I like it. Here's what I like. Here's what I like about the washed out appearance. I like that you can see out the back window. I'm sorry. I just like my trees back there and it's gloomy. Can't do this when it's sunny because the sun literally shines right through that window on my back. That's why it's a black curtain because it's way too hot. Or I don't know. Maybe that's not why it's a black curtain. I chose the black curtain for a reason. So we had an exciting day around these parts. We had the landscapers come, which means that the dog, who you all know, the dog CeeLo, what's going on? You still mad at me? The dog's in front of the camera. You mad at me still? Yeah. Here's the problem. I bought new dog food and I bought cheap dog food. And she loves it, man. I bought this gravy train stuff, right? And normally she gets like high-end pure. What are you doing? Nobody's talking to you. She's now coming over here to hang out. Oh, say hi. No, never mind. We won't do that. Hiccups. No, I've got hiccups. All right, you gonna lay there? The dog is laying just off camera. So I switched dog food, and she had the doggy craps today. Hiccups. Worst part of the show. Oh, these ones are coming fast. This is like a really frantic hiccup attack. Usually they don't come this fast. I know. Did I freeze or no? I was trying to beat my hiccups. So I switched dog foods, and starting at about 4 a.m, the cheap dog food began running through the dog, and she's at the back door. At 4 o'clock, I drag my ass out, and I don't go back to bed, because I don't want to come back in, so I got to stand, watch her. It's good that I don't have to go outside. That would be worse, but so I let her out the back door. She dumps, and I'm like, oh God, it's the new dog food. She does it again. 7 this morning. She wakes me up one more time at 7, then again at 8:30 when we usually get up, and she goes out. And then that was it. She wasn't allowed out after 8:30. Why? Because Thursday is landscaper day, and the landscapers come and they clean up, the yard and all that stuff and leaves. And she's banned from the yard on landscaper day. So she had to hold it. And they took a little extra time today because we've had a bit of weather around here, so the yard was a little bit more trashed. I'm still hiccuping. Good Lord. All right, we're going to fight through it. Barney's in the chat room. Barney says, let's see who's talking here. We got somebody new in the chat room. Unsympathetic Nip. Hello, sorry for bothering you. I want to offer promotion of your channel. No, thank you. Well, whatever. You want to promote it, that's fine. But really, this? You want to promote this? I'm having a bout of hiccups on my live stream. So unprofessional. You wonder why I don't work in the glamorous world of terrestrial broadcast radio anymore. Good Lord. Let's get started. Oh, you're leaving now. The dog just left. The dog's like, this. What am I doing? A drunk act? Seriously, this is like the worst. This is like the worst about. We got to do the thing where I beat the hiccups, okay? This is a serious one. Haven't had to do this in a while, where I actually just need to get inside my own head for a couple of seconds and beat the hiccups. So I'm going to need to turn the camera off, but you're going to get to hear, okay? So I'll make sure that you hear if there are hiccups coming. Here we go. Yeah, Byron doesn't like the drapes. All right, maybe I'll fix the drape. All right, I'll do the drapes and maybe... Oh, there's a hiccup. Hold on. Now look, now it's like real radio where you don't see the guy. God damn it! Hiccups. Higging it up. Here we go. All right. Fix the drapes for Byron. There we go. All right. I'm still hiccuping. There you go, Byron. You happy? I put the drapes up. And I'm still hiccuping. All right, we're going to get through this. So angry. What do you say, Kojak? Kojak hanging out. Gonna sling some shit in the chat room, my man. I love Kojak. Got some I love all my old P&K people, especially today, because we'll get to it, but we suffered another tragic loss. Yeah, the P&K army, the P&K family, really. We'll get to that. We'll talk about that. That's something that's trending. All right, let's get started. It is the High Noon Rant with me, Pugs Moran, a 2-hour plus stream of consciousness on all the day's headlines, hot topics, and current events. Let's get started. It is the 25th day of January, the year of our Lord, 2024. It's the 25th day of the... January 25th is the 25th day of the year in the Gregorian calendar. There are 340 more of these, so get those New Year's Eve plans started. All right, let's get started here. First quarter. I'm out of breath. Fat guy needed to stand on it when I turned the microphone off. I needed to stand on the chair and like lift the drape bar up and reposition it. And now like fat middle-aged guy is like wiped out from that. You know, it's like you think I just played like, you know, a full quarter of press defense. No, I'm like exhausted. All right, but guess what? Guess what we just did? We just beat the hiccups. Thank you. They're gone. Did you notice? That's how you do it. All right. Antecedently on this day, this is just this day in history. We go through some of the things that have shaped our understanding of this day. And, you know, I wax poetic about it. Excuse me. On this day, antecedently in 1915, Alexander Graham Bell inaugurates the U.S. transcontinental telephone service, speaking from New York to Thomas Watson in San Francisco. All right, first time on New York to San Francisco. Now okay, so here let's pull the drape back on this a little bit. So we know famously that the very first phone call was made between Thomas Edison and Alexander Graham Bell and Thomas Watson, right? His assistant, who was in the next room. Watson, come here, I need you, or whatever. That was the famous first thing ever said. So that you have to imagine that was a few years before, like they didn't just go from like, you know, room to room to New York to San Francisco. So this was a couple of years later. Now, the only reason that Thomas Watson is immortalized as that guy who answered the first phone call is because he was the dude that was there. He was like his assistant. He was one of the guys who's like, tell Watson, go try. He was just a dude that was there. So it's interesting to me that when Alexander Graham Bell did the very first New York to San Francisco phone call, which you would have to imagine for its time was a big press event. He had press there. He actually flew Watson to San Francisco, like as a publicity stunt. Remember the guy who answered the first call? Well, he's going to answer this one in San Francisco. It's just, you know, we've always been manipulated. This was the year. Alexander Graham Bell putting on a show. Watson didn't need to be there. Didn't need to be Watson answering in San Francisco. There could have been a dude in San Francisco already. Although, how would he know to get the call, right? So maybe it's just Watson had to go there because he's the only one that was expecting the phone call because there had never been. We're moving on. All right, antecedently on this day, 1937, The Guiding Light soap opera debuts on NBC Radio in Chicago. 1937. This stupid-ass show would run on radio, well, television, then it switched to TV in the 60s or 50s. Till 2009, The Guiding Light soap opera debuts on this day in 1937. Antecedently on this day in 1960, the NAB, the National Association of Broadcasters in these here United States, today's the day that okay, so what is it? Payola, okay? The NAB reacted to the payola scandal by threatening fines for any disc jockey who accepts money for playing particular music or records. So what was payola? Payola. Jesus, I wish I was a DJ in the 50s. DJs, like, okay, so radio stations were just owned by old car dealerships. They're like, well, I got this little radio station. We play the Hey Dance on Saturday nights and people all across, you know what I mean? That's what it was. It was small time, local ownership. And the local dude, when he went, hey, you know, this rock and roll is becoming a thing. We should hire some, you know, we should get some kids to listen. So they went into rock and roll. And what did they do? The first DJs were just cool ass dudes, just cool dudes with great record collections. And that's what they did. They just played their own records. Playlists and all that didn't come into broadcast radio until the 1970s. But until that point, man, DJs literally would drag in their crate of records and they just play it. It was a show. Here's the cool records I got. And then over the course of time, record companies started to hang out with these DJs and they started giving them money. They started saying, we'll pay you $500 if you play the new Little Richard. Now, it wouldn't be Little Richard, it'd be Pat Boone, someone like that. They didn't really promote black artists. Black artists actually got played organically by DJs who were like, this is actually cool. It was the Elvises and the Pat Boones and, you know, people like that got the payola. It was actually Pat Boone was at the center of the payola scandal. So, or the initial payola scandal. Yeah, and then all of a sudden you couldn't take money anymore. So welcome to the 1970s when cocaine became the thing. Payola still existed. I was an assistant music director in the mid-1990s. And payola still existed, not in the form of cold hard cash, but in the form of, hey, we're going to rent out a hotel suite. Oh, and by the way, you guys can all have rooms if you want. We booked the whole floor and nobody's staying there. So if you want to spend a weekend downtown, you can do that. But all you got to do is you got to come to the main suite and you got to listen to this new album by Sheryl Crow. And, we do that, stuff like that. Hey, we're going to go on a trip to listen to the new Sheryl Crow album. You want to fly private to Malibu? All you got to do is promise you're going to play the song when you get back to your radios. Stuff like that. Payola of a different name. Payola's great. Anyway, moving on. Antecedently on this day in 1961 in Washington, D.C., U.S. President John F. Kennedy delivers the first live presidential television news conference. First time president went on and took questions. He did that. Antecedently on this day, in 1964, Blue Ribbon Sports was founded. Blue Ribbon Sports was founded at the University of Oregon on this day in 1964. Blue Ribbon Sports would, of course, change their name to Nike. That's right, Nike, the birth of Nike on this day in 1964 at the University of Oregon. Excuse me. On this day, antecedently in 1971, Charles Manson and 4 family members, 3 of them female. I don't know why we felt the need to do that. Then we all know it was like the Manson chicks. 4 of them female, 3 of them female, are found guilty of the 1969 Tate LaBianca murders. And yesterday was Sharon Tate's birthday. The lovely Sharon Tate. All right, on this day in the year, antecedently in 2006, Mexican professional wrestler. It's he's a wrestler. That's how Mike Tyson would say it. Mexican professional wrestler Juana Barraza is arrested in connection with the serial killing of at least 10 elderly women. Do you remember this guy? This was like some pro wrestler dude. He's like a lucha libre, whatever these guys are. Well, I'm crazy. It's like clowning and wrestling. That's what they do down there in Mexico, as I understand it. I'm not a real wrestling guy. You know what's funny? Here's the thing. I'm not a big wrestling guy, and I'm not a big NASCAR guy, and I'm not a big porn guy. And yet I know more wrestlers, NASCAR drivers, and porn stars than pretty much those are the people who did radio interviews. I don't know. I got to know them. Don't know much about what they do, but I know them as, interview subjects. All right, moving on. He killed a bunch of, imagine that. He was the wrestler. He was a Mexican wrestler. He was out there killing old ladies. What happened to you that you're killing old ladies? That's your kink. Your kink is killing old ladies. Man, imagine his grandma. His grandma must have been awful. Because who wants to hurt an old lady? Who among us that grew up with a wonderful grandma has anything but reverence and an innate desire to care for and secure the old lady? This dude's out there killing old ladies. How mean was his grandma? All right, that's going to do it. That's antecedently on this day. How about now, 1:45? They say it's their birthday. Can I just say, January 25th, today, this might be the lamest day for celebrity birthdays ever. There is I am telling you, there ain't nobody good. Honestly, there's nobody good. I got all the way in. I start in ancient times where you look for names like Cleopatra and stuff. I started back in ancient times. I got into the mid 1940s and I'm like, nobody has died of note yet. And nobody has. Rando popes and shit like that. But, So let's do it anyway. They say it's their birthday. Born on this day in 1943, Tobe Hooper. That's right. Cool-ass Texas filmmaker. Tobe Hooper. He's dead, though. He died a couple years ago. Tobe Hooper, he Texas Chainsaw Massacre dude and all that stuff. The Austin film scene. Very important down there. Very important. Born on this day, or so he claims. Isn't this cool? Isn't this weird? Okay. So, because we talked about how on this day in 1964, Blue Ribbon Sports was founded, which would eventually become Nike, but also born on this day in 1951, Steve Prefontaine. Who the hell is Steve? You're asking, and you wouldn't be wrong. Steve Prefontaine was a runner. It sounds like the era before he runs, his name is Steve Fontaine. It's I always think of it's the Prefontaine era. What do you mean? Before he ran? Or is this the era? Well, his name is Prefontaine. Oh, okay. Well, he was one of the original Nike dudes. I think he's the dude that Phil Knight made the waffle sole that set Nike apart in the very beginning. The waffle sole, we made it on a waffle iron. The rubber, he melted it on a waffle. Anyway, It's weird. Nike founded on this day, and it's Prefontaine's birthday. One of the original Nike dudes. Birthdays. Also celebrating a birthday today, Chris Chelios. Chris Chelios, NHL hockey star. I love Chelly. Again, it's a weekday for birthdays. I'm like mentioning a regional NHL star. I like Chelly. I got a bunch of cool Chelly stories. Chelly was a regular on our morning show. Chris Chelios was a regular on our morning show. He was a big fan of the show, and he used to hang out all the time when he was with the Blackhawks. Here's a couple of fun facts about Chris Chelios. We put together a softball team, and we played against Meatloaf. Remember Meatloaf? I would do, and Meatloaf had like this really good softball team that he used to travel around the country, and he was smart. He would roll into a town and he would challenge the number one morning show to a softball game, and it would turn into an event the day of the concert in the parking lot or at some park near the stadium or whatever. And we did that. We ended up putting a team together to play Meatloaf, and we stocked our team with what we thought were ringers. We had a whole bunch of pro athletes on our team, and the thought process was, well, they're good at hockey. They must be. No, we learned that. Yeah, no. Chris Chelios, we put him at third base because we had known. Here's what we knew about Meatloaf's team. Meatloaf's softball team was undefeated. Meatloaf used to tour, and here's the thing about Meatloaf, cheater. Half of his road crew were former minor league baseball players. It's like he specifically hired people to move amps who could play baseball really good. And so he formed a softball team, and he would beat everybody, beat the crap out of us. Chris Chelios, not great at softball, wonderful at hockey. Happy birthday to him. I remember I was in the outfield. I think I was playing like right field or something. And Chris Chelios just at third base just made a mistake. And I remember just standing there as like a 22-year-old kid in the outfield going, so he's not an all-around athlete. So he's just good at skating and hitting something with a stick. That's okay. Lesson learned. Chris Chelios, born on this day in 1962. He's a good dude. Here's a babe for the ages. And this is it. This is the last of the birthdays. See what I said? We got Toby Hooper, Steve Prefontaine, Chris Chelios, and happy birthday, Alicia Keys. I love Alicia Keys. Oh, God. She's so beautiful. She's so beautiful. And then she sits down to play piano, and it's like, oh, she's beautiful inside and out. That's what I like about Alicia Keys. I just want to, I don't know, I want to wake up before she does and like make pancakes for her. You know, so she wakes up, she's like, oh, you're up early. And I'm like, coffee's right there. Would you like some pancakes? That's what I want to do for Alicia Keys. And I'm resigned to the fact that it's probably never going to happen. All right, let's move on to the dead people. Here are the people who've died. These are the people who've died. Here's what we do. Go through a list of people who passed away on this day. We look at their life's resume and we decide heaven or hell. What do you think? Where do you think they went? All right, let's look at these deaths. Here we go. This one's easy. We're going to preemptively put this dude in prison, even though, or in hell. Eternal life prison, right? Isn't that what we call it? Al Capone, dead on this day in 1947, just riddled with syphilis. Just like, I don't know what his problem was. He died of syphilis, though. Al Capone. See, this is kind of a difficult one because you got to put him in hell, right? You got it, just because of the mythology of Al Capone. But there is local mythology of Al Capone. Anybody who grew up in Chicago, anybody who grew up on the South Side, anybody who has like grandparents or whatever who were around and alive during the Capone days, they all have stories for us. They have my grandpa, for instance. He told me a story once about how Capone's guys tried to stake him when he first started his milk delivery business, and they wanted to buy him like a delivery. I don't know. It was some weird story. And then there's another story. My friend's grandma grew up on the same block that Al Capone lived on. And she said, I remember being a little kid, I remember her telling these Al Capone stories. She loved him. Like the neighborhood kids loved him. But it's also like when you see a drug dealer in South Central Los Angeles handing out turkeys on Thanksgiving. You know what I mean? It's like the people, they don't bring the danger into the neighborhood, and everybody who lives on the block feels super safe because nobody F's with them. But ultimately, I think we're going to put Capone in jail or in eternal life jail. there you go. He goes to hell. Dead on this day in 1990. Here's another one I'm preemptively putting into hell for a couple of reasons. We've got some prerequisites. People go to hell if they are, one, a politician. No questions asked. They go to hell. Two, a college football coach. We don't, please, we're not even gonna, there is so much college football, most NFL coaches as well, although we have, in recent times, we've decided that maybe there's a new breed of NFL coach that we need to switch off, but college football coaches, absolutely, they all go to hell. And actresses all go to hell, because as I've been saying for, years now, actresses in real life, not on screen, not when they're showing off their talents, because they're they're hypnotic, right? I mean, you can fall under the spell of a Scarlett Johansson or a Julia Roberts. They're magnificent, but in real life, they're like just awful. They're just, actresses are the worst. And here is one of the quintessential examples of that. Dead on this day in 1990, and absolutely going to hell. Ava Gardner. Ava Gardner. You guys know who Ava Gardner is? You should. There's like a whole bunch of like 20 years ago, the name Ava started coming back for babies. And it was always because of Ava Gardner. And I'm like, you're naming your baby after Ava Gardner? Do you know what Ava Gardner was? Yes, she was the most beautiful actress in Hollywood history. And that very well may be true. Ava Gardner was gorgeous, but that's just the problem. She knew she was gorgeous. Ava Gardner went out of her way to destroy more powerful men for just no reason other than she could. Ava Gardner's kink was taking the most powerful man in the world and making him beg her for her attentions. That's what she did. She nearly destroyed Frank Sinatra. When Frank Sinatra was like the most powerful guy in Hollywood, she basically destroyed him. Then she destroyed the bullfighter who she left Frank Sinatra for. Then she's just left in her wake endless casting directors and studio directors and producers and all those that she just destroyed emotionally. She was a sexually empowered woman at a time when that wasn't really a thing, and she used it. She was powerful. She's a tremendous actress too. Real beauty. I mean, serious talent. But she was not a good person. Like, she was known to be really manipulative and really sort of, she gets what she wants. And the big knock on Ava Gardner, why she's going to hell, is because it's generally perceived now that was her kink. That her kink was just finding a man, making him fall in love with her when she has absolutely no intention of being in love with him, but making him fall in love with her and then just pulling the tablecloth and just destroying him. So you go to hell. Actress, first of all, you're an actress. Now it sounds like you were a mean one, but gorgeous. Oh my God, Ava Gardner was hot. Dead on this day in 2017, John Hurt, putting him in heaven. I don't know anything about him. He was a weird guy, skinny guy. Here's what I know about John Hurt. This is why he's going to heaven. He impacted me severely in my entire life. I so bought the performance that my entire life, whenever I saw him in anything else, I'm like, oh, that guy. He played the Elephant Man. He played John Merrick in the Elephant Man movie. And he was so good, man. I think that's him. Hold on, let me look at him. I'm not an animal was his big thing. Yeah, that's him. Anyway, I'm putting him in heaven because the Elephant Man freaked me out as a kid, but in a good way, like in a compassionate way, like teaching me to like not be repulsed, but instead try and find the empathy that we should all find when we see somebody stricken with something terrible. So there you go. I'm putting him there. Life lesson learned from Hollywood. Look at that. Or wait, was that just some lefty manipulation that's stopping me from picking on ugly people? Is that what it is? Lefties! He was ugly. They called him the Elephant Man. What? I can't say you're ugly? Yeah, no. It's not that you can. It's that you shouldn't. See, you should know not to want to just willfully injure other people emotionally. Moving on. Dead on this day in 2017, she's also going to hell, but also I'm giving her applause, but she's going to hell because she's an actress and she's a big one. Mary Tyler Moore died on this day. She's going to hell. Why is she going to hell? Because Mary Tyler Moore wasn't her image. Okay. I'm tired of doing this stuff. Mary Tyler Moore's image was, she was lovely and she was delightful. She was Laura Petrie. She was Mary Richards. We all love Mary Tyler Moore. Certainly one of the three. I put three now. It used to be just two, but now I've put Julia Louis-Dreyfus in there. She's one of the three most successful women in television history. Lucille Ball, Mary Tyler Moore, Julia Louis-Dreyfus. But Mary Tyler Moore was tough. So was Lucy. So were all of these. Mary Tyler Moore was tough. She was dominant, man. MTM. Everything was produced by MTM in the 1970s. That's Mary Tyler Moore Productions. She ran that like a boss, very successful. But she was equal parts studio boss and American icon. She was tough. And she's an actress, so she goes to hell. I love Mary Tyler Moore, but she's an actress, and she's going to hell. Okay, that's going to do it. That's quarter one, quarter two, and quarter three in the books. How about that? We are rolling through today's show. So now it is time for me to remind you once again that this show runs on your gratuities. Drop a little tip into the tip jar. Let me know that you support this kind of non-divisive, non-political, hot topic-driven current events radio as performed by me in a daily stream of consciousness. All right, now is the time that we get into all of the things that are trending today, the stuff that we need to talk about. This is where I go off. Here we go. Big news today. Ladies and gentlemen, the gross domestic product of the United States is growing in exponential numbers, and it's, oh my God, we don't believe how good things are. Look at how good things are. I tell you all the time. Every couple of days, there's one of these nonsense numbers that is supposed to gin us up into thinking that things are getting better. Meanwhile, I'm still paying over $3 for a 2-liter of name brand Coke Zero. Okay. I don't give a shit about the gross domestic product. I don't. That's down the road. You know what I care about? I care about my home not selling. I care about the gas prices, and I care about how much food. Don't tell me that, and again, this isn't political, but it's always assigned to the person who's in the office. Don't tell me that the Biden economy is crushing it. Never before. It's not crushing it. It's not crushing it. I know people who are trying to sell their homes and they can't because it's a dead market. I know people that are taking second jobs. I know a person. I don't want to say it. Because this person might be embarrassed by the fact that they have to go take a side hustle as a food delivery person. But this is a person you all know, and they're delivering food. But please do go on and tell me about the gross domestic product and how America is crushing it on the global economic stage, thanks to Bidenomics. Is it Bidenomics now? Because it was Trumpnomics last time, and, it's all just nomics to me. You think one of these guys is better at it than the other. Stop it. Wall Street in the American economy is an unstoppable freight train. It doesn't matter who's there. Now, they'll pretend it matters. Why? Because they want another bailout or something. They'll pretend something because they want tax cut. They'll pretend, but stop it. I think these people are giving up their yachts and their Learjets. Moving on. The Dow. Oh my God, the Dow just today jumped 200 points. Oh my God, the S&P 500 rises after the gross domestic product report shows strong growth and slowing inflation. So there you go. Stock market's going nuts. Oh, and look at this, Paramount. The stock market's going nuts. The gross domestic product is great. All the rich people are popping champagne corks, and I've got this little bit of breaking news. Paramount. The massive, gigantic behemoth of a media company, Paramount. Well, the CEO of Paramount, from his yacht, no doubt, just announced layoffs as cost pressures continue to drive down corporate profits. So there you go. So they're popping corks on Wall Street because they're going nuts over there. GDP is great, so the politicians are all like, everything's fine. What do you mean your home won't sell and you can't afford diapers? What do you mean? Look at the GDP and look at what's going on Wall Street. Stop being distracted. Paramount just laid off a whole bunch of working people because times are tough. No, they're not. You're maximizing profits, and it's bonus season. We're getting to the point here. A couple of weeks, everybody's going to start getting their quarterly bonuses. So, you got to lay people off. You got to justify the bonuses. Come on, man. There will be no reporting on the bonuses, by the way. There'll be reportings on the layoffs, but they're going to keep the bonuses quiet. All right. But no, please do keep being mad about where trannies pee or whatever. Come on. We're being distracted by nonsense, by things that we understand because we don't understand. I don't understand gross domestic. We don't understand that stuff. So they distract us with other things because God forbid we ever start paying attention to who's actually getting rich and who's actually losing their homes. God forbid. Here's some big news if you're sick like me, and I checked the bottle because I don't get that the stuff. Robitussin is being recalled. Robitussin. Do you have Robitussin in your house? All right, here's what's being recalled. And also, they're like, if you're healthy, you'll be fine. It's like some kind of spoiled bacteria. They're like, if you're healthy, you'll be fine. But if you have pre-existing conditions, maybe throw out your Robitussin or go through that, I'm sure, insanely complicated process of getting your money back. Robitussin cough syrup recalled due to microbial contamination. Recall of Robitussin cough syrup was announced Wednesday evening through the FDA. Bottles of Robitussin, here's what you're looking for. Robitussin Honey CF Max Day Adult. Honey CF Max Day. So Robitussin Honey CF Max Day and Robitussin Honey CF Max Night are being recalled due to microbial contamination. So there you go. All right. So here's what you're looking for. If you've got a bottle of Robitussin Honey CF Max, either the day or night. Well, these are the adult versions, by the way, not the kid versions. Doesn't that pop up? All right, there you go. So if you got the Robitussin, I looked, I got the Robitussin, but I don't honey. I don't want no honey. I got the cherry stuff or whatever it is. I don't know what it is. Classic cough medicine taste. Okay, guys, let's delve into something that we've been talking about here for a couple of days. We like this. We're going to follow this story because this story is butt crazy, man. Remember the Kansas City Chief fans who all died in the backyard of the dude who hosted a Kansas City watching party? Woo! Okay, so we got more on that. Now, if you were with us yesterday, we talked about this story. This story was brought to my attention by my former partner, Kelly, who was like way into it. We ought to, if this story goes one more day and we don't have any kind of autopsy answers or any reason for this, I'm going to start doing a daily stream on this story because this story is crazy. A bunch of friends get together to watch the San Diego Chargers take on their beloved Kansas City Chiefs. This is in Kansas City. I think it was probably a Sunday night game, maybe. This is back in early January. January 9th, I think, is when they went missing or something. Or was that when they were found? I don't know, whatever. Just they were watching a game. The game ends. The party among friends breaks up. The owner of the house, who, by the way, Jordan Willis is his name. The owner of the house is like an award-winning, world-famous HIV/AIDS researcher. He's a scientist. He's like super smart. So the party ends, and scientist guy goes, all right, fellas, I got to go to sleep. And he says he walked them to the door and let them out. He says he left the door unlocked, and then he walked to the couch and immediately fell asleep on the couch, awaking about an hour later and going upstairs to his bedroom and going to sleep formally. He woke up the next day, and apparently he went right to work on his AIDS research, put the headphones on. Apparently he's a very deep researcher, and he wears headphones and, all this kind of stuff, and he blocks out the world, and his room is, blacked out. It's another detail that's there now. The room where he works is completely blacked out, which would lead one to believe that he does everything possible to keep the outside world out when he's working, which I understand because when I'm writing, I can have no distractions. I just need to focus completely on what the next word or sentence is. So I get that. So he starts working, does a day, goes to sleep again, wakes up the next morning, starts working again. And at this point, I guess the police had showed up because while he was blacked out from the world, remember on Sunday night, he let his friends, they had a party, they watched the game, the friends left. He went to sleep, he worked all day Monday, he went to sleep Monday night, he wakes up Tuesday, and there's the police. They're like, hey, why are there dead people all over your property? Yeah. So that's what we got. So 2 days later, this dude who watched his friends leave his party is told your friends are dead. One of them's on your back porch, man. Did you not? How do you not know that your friends who left your house, 2 of them are dead in the yard, 1 of them is dead in your back porch? All right, so that's the story. All right, so that's where we were yesterday. Now, some fun facts about this. Jordan Willis, Dr. Jordan Willis, the AIDS researcher, he has moved out of the house. He's like, I don't want to be there. I am out, which you can understand. But the question still remains, how did his friends die? There are so many questions, not the least of which is, how did he not know they were dead in his backyard? How did they not notice their cars in the front? Well, a lot of his colleagues are saying, well, that's actually kind of believable. He's kind of weird like that. Like, he goes into a hole and, he doesn't even look out the window. He doesn't even notice that the car is still in front. He probably didn't come out of his hole since the Chiefs game. He went to sleep. He woke up. He went to work in his hole. Went to sleep in his hole, woke up, went to work in his hole again, and that's when the police showed up. Now, what is the new news? Well, we got a 5th friend. So remember, there was 4, 3 dead, guy who has no idea they're dead who hosted the party, but now a 5th friend has come forward who was also apparently at the house, claiming to have left around midnight. He survived. He's fine. He left at midnight. And he says that because they're trying to say that he was the last person to see them alive. It gets kind of confusing, but the 5th friend is now contradicting the AIDS researcher because police had labeled the 5th friend the last person to see them alive, and the 5th friend's lawyer has now spoken up and said, no, he's not the last person to see him alive. He left, and Jordan was still alive on the car. Folks, this story is amazing. We still don't have an autopsy. We still don't know what killed them. I'm still believing in light of another story that is breaking today that we'll talk about. I believe it's fentanyl. I believe that these guys were partying. I believe that somebody probably had some coke and they decided to do some coke. I believe that researcher Jordan Willis, who is known to take really long hours in his research and all that, probably uses something to make him work. A lot of researchers use cocaine. A lot of researchers use methamphetamine. A lot of researchers, especially the really good ones and the really accomplished ones, do things that allow them to stay up and work for 3-4 days straight. That's just a fact that nobody's going to talk about, but it is true. College students in med school, they start the habit early because of the crazy hours at this. So that's what I think happened. I think they got some bad cocaine. I think that maybe Jordan Willis somehow survived it and didn't know what to do. And I think that maybe the other 2 friends started to struggle, made their way outside for some kind of help and probably died there. But we're not getting, and doesn't it take like forever for toxicology? Like, so it'll be when? St. Patrick's Day when we finally learn the toxicology results? Anyway, we're following this story. It's starting to get weird. Police are still not saying that Jordan Willis, the survivor, the guy who hosted the party, still not saying that he's a suspect. However, there is some discrepancy over who was, in fact, the last person to see these 3 people alive. We'll keep covering that. The KC Chiefs murder mystery. Murder. I'm telling you. I don't know if it's murder. Deads. The Kansas City Deads. That's what we'll call it. All right, let's see here. What else do we have to talk about trending today? Peacock released their numbers for their much derided playoff game that was available only to Peacock subscribers. A lot of people were angry about that. I have a system that I've called Netflix, and that's how I watched the Peacock game. I used Netflix. I don't need to explain anymore what that is, but it is anyway. Moving on. So I don't know if I even have Peacock. 2.8 million new subscribers simply for that game. That's what they did. They held NFL fans hostage. Was it a Detroit game? No, what game was it? It was a good game. Wasn't it Miami and Kansas City? Yeah, I think that's the game. I think it was the Miami Kansas City game. It was a blowout, but it's still a matchup that people were interested in. So if you were fans of Miami or you were fans of Kansas City Chiefs and you didn't have Peacock and you love your team, you basically bought Peacock. 2.8 million people did that. They just bought Peacock on that night to be able to watch that game. And now They've got a monthly charge that's going to be taken on their debit. And what they're left with is access to all episodes of Law and Order. So, I don't know. It's a bit of a shell game that the NFL just participated in. They basically just forced a whole bunch of people to buy Peacock, who otherwise didn't want Peacock for anything other than the Chiefs-Dolphins game. Peacock, 2.8 million new subscribers. Good for them. Wasn't manipulative at all. Taylor Swift is in the news. Oh boy, what day is it, huh? She's always in the news. Taylor Swift is in the news for a pretty serious thing, though. She's got a stalker. She's got this, well, I'm sure she's got numerous stalkers. She's Taylor Swift. But she's particularly got one stalker who everybody's a bit concerned about because this guy's been arrested like a whole bunch of times. He hangs out at her New York apartment. He hangs out on the street. He goes through her garbage. Here's the story that's trending today. So this dude has been hanging out in front of Taylor Swift's Chelsea apartment. And he talks to neighbors and they're like, what are you doing here? And he's like, I'm here to see Taylor. Is she around? They're like, you can't be here. He's like, well, I'm just here to see Taylor. She's expecting me. Like he says stuff like that. So he got arrested over the weekend, stalking outside Taylor Swift's house in New York. He gets thrown in jail. He's thrown in jail for like 24 hours. And then he went in front of a judge, and the judge is like, well, you didn't do anything other than you just hung out in front of Taylor Swift's house saying you like her. I can't charge you with anything. So they let him go. Dude walks out of court, walks directly to Taylor Swift's apartment. He went straight. The police followed him. He walked straight from court, straight back to Taylor Swift's apartment, where he began rummaging through her trash. At that point, he was arrested again and taken back into. He's a crazy person. Let's take a look at him. You want to see him? You want to see if this is serious? Oh, I don't know. He's probably just a fan that wants to meet her. No, he's a crazy person. And, New York City is a little bit on edge. They had the whole John Lennon, Mark David Chapman thing. So they don't want this happening again with Taylor Swift. Yeah, I'm going to show you this guy. I mean, you just look at this guy and you go, yeah, sometimes you see a fan and it's like a 14-year-old girl and you're like, yeah, she's probably not worth our time. And then you see this guy and you're like, yeah, this guy, we need to keep an eye on this guy. This guy looks like he might hurt Taylor. I will give you a picture of him just so you see what he looks like. Okay, here you go. So here's a picture of him going through her garbage. All right, here, we'll do this one. This is when he got arrested for going through her garbage. Remember, he was adjudicated and set free by the judge there. And there he is. And he walked right out of court, walked right to Taylor Swift's apartment, jumped right in her garbage, and got arrested again. There he is. That's him. Look at him in her garbage. What's he looking for? Ugh. All right, so now I want to show you this dude because, you tell me if there's reason to be concerned. Well, there he is. That's the guy who just wants to be friends with Taylor Swift. He doesn't want to put her head in his freezer in his garage. No, this guy's fine. Just let him go. Look at him. He's got a history of like mental delusions and being in and out of like mental homes and all that kind of stuff. But he's just running around. He's tracking Taylor Swift, going through her garbage. So, isn't fame grand? How much fun to be famous, huh? He looks harmless, said the judge. No, the judge was actually like, I can't do anything. He didn't do anything wrong. He didn't do anything violent. We can't put him in jail. Keep an eye on him. Bud Light and the Super Bowl have joined forces. Bud Light is coming back into the Super Bowl ad time experience big. Bud Light is, I guess, the sponsor of the halftime event again. Bud Light and football, two things that prove there is no such thing as cancel culture. There is no such thing. There's bad press for a couple of weeks, and then if you're an institution, you should be able to survive it. There you go. Bud Light and the Super Bowl. And you're all going to watch it. Although some of you will be like, really? You're watching that? Bud Light and NFL football? Come on. Didn't you give up on both of these things? Also in the NFL, big news, breaking across. Sorry, I thought there was something going around in my yard. Just a squirrel on the tree. That's how distracted I am. I'm like a dog distracted by a squirrel that I see peripherally out the side window of the house here. Jim Harbaugh is now the head coach of the Los Angeles Chargers. I think everybody pretty much knew that. I think it was look, everybody thought he was going to go to the Bears, right? I didn't think he was going to go to the Bears. Here's why everybody thought he was going to go to the Bears. Well, they drafted him and he played with the Bears for all these years. And, he wore a Bears shirt the other day on Pat McAfee and everybody thought, it was that kind of stuff. And he's so close with the Hallis family. They're both like staunchly Catholic and he goes to church with Virginia. Virginia's the old lady that runs the team. I'm like, yeah. And the Bears president is now Kevin Warren, and he was head of the Big Ten, and Jim Harbaugh has a relationship with him. Yeah, bad relationship. Jim Harbaugh's got a bad relationship with him. And you think Jim Harbaugh wants to come here and potentially have to coach an Ohio State quarterback? Get out of here. Jim Harbaugh was never coming to the Bears. Stop it. I don't even particularly want Jim Harbaugh. I did at the time, but then I'm like, So he's going to the Chargers, and this has been rumored for a while. His wife, apparently, they have a home there because, of course, they do, because football coaches make like $100 million. They have a home in Los Angeles, and she loves it, and she loves being a Los Angeles lady. So look at this, man. I'm telling you, some excitement for the Los Angeles Chargers. Big Jim Harbaugh going to take over that team. How many coaches have they had? Like, who was before Anthony Lynn? They've had like Staley and it's just such a mess. Anyway, Harbaugh's not a mess. Harbaugh's a good coach. Harbaugh's won everywhere. I just don't particularly want him as the coach of my team. I don't want him running that Michigan offense. Although, quite frankly, he did make J.J. McCarthy from an afterthought to a first-round draft pick. So, maybe he does know something. I don't know. Look, I don't want him. I don't trust the Michigan coach with my Ohio State quarterback. That's honestly a real concern. That if they got Jim Harbaugh, that he would absolutely trade Fields. And I don't want him to trade Fields. I want to keep Fields, and I want to trade the number 1 draft pick for another talent haul. Like we have this year. We have a talent haul in the draft this year, not the least of which is the number 1 overall pick. So I'd like to trade that number 1 overall pick to another team that might be shitty next year, who might have the number 1 pick again next year. I don't know. We can do this forever, folks. It's going to be fun. All right. New York City has a new plan. They've designated social media what are they calling it? Declares social media a toxin, an environmental toxin. Now, why? Because they have all of these crazy laws about environmental toxin that allows them to enforce certain things. So if you label social media, which isn't an environmental toxin, certainly not the way that those laws and rules and regs are drawn up. An environmental toxin is about toxins in the air that we have to breathe and all that stuff, but whatever. New York City mayor is taking a stand against teenagers and social media, and to this end, he has designated social media an environmental toxin. He says, we are the first major American city to take this step. Yeah, because it's stupid. Because look, we all agree that there are problems with social media and young people becoming, their awareness of the world being in this vacuum of social. It's not good. It's not good. Or maybe it is good. See, here's what we don't know. Everything different in the moment seems not good, and you got to keep it away from kids. Video games. You got to rot your brain with those video games. Yeah, right. And now those kids are like, majors in the Air Force running drone units, right? It's just, you got to put that game down. Really? Okay, because there's professional gamers out there making millions of dollars a year. And we were all so sure. I don't know what this is. I don't know. Is social media going to make people nicer? Is it going to make them meaner? I don't know. We don't know yet. I know what I think. And I think Mayor Eric Adams is right that it's probably something the kids shouldn't be indoctrinated into until maybe 18. I really feel that way, man. I think I don't like what I see on social media as an adult among other adults. So I worry about it just ruining kids' minds. But that's not my business. You know what I need to worry about? I got to worry about my kid's mind being ruined. Not your kid, not everybody else's kid. I'm worried about my kid's mind being ruined, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to see that doesn't happen. And if we all did that individually, maybe we wouldn't need these kinds of stupid things. Maybe we wouldn't have kids living their entire lives on social media. All right. New York City declares social media for teenagers an environmental toxin. New laws to come. You'll see. You'll see. All right. So here we go. So this is the story that I was building up to. P and K, pour one out, do that whole thing. This shocked me this morning. And it was an afterthought. It's certainly not being heavily publicized. It's not a whole bunch of places. TMZ had it. TMZ went big on it. But I was on Google Trends. I was just scrolling through, and I was probably on Google Trend number 150 or something, like the 150th thing that's trending. And I saw this story, and it stopped me dead. No pun intended. I was like, what? And I had to think. I'm like, well, I'm not surprised. Things have been spiraling the past 10 years. So a very good old friend of the Pugs and Kelly show from the old Live 105.3 days, somebody who I had recently reached out to and been corresponding with regarding the documentary that we're putting together, asked her to participate, and she was like, oh, I'd love to. And then, as is typical of women like her, I never heard anything back. Jessie Jane is dead. The porn star, the iconic porn star of the 2000s, and and when I say iconic porn star, she is. She did things. She made more money in a short period of time because of the business decisions that she made. For instance, Jessie Jane does not pop up in the top 20 of most like I remember her telling me this, like that there's like porn aggregators where, like, if you're looking for a specific porn star, she said, you won't find me in the top 20. She goes, I will never be in the top 20. It's because she made a business decision to own all of her films. She also made a business decision to only shoot 4 scenes a year. You think about it like this porn star, and you're like, she's probably doing 10 guys a day, every day, 365. No, she only did 4 scenes a year. She only shot 4 scenes a year. She controlled those scenes entirely. And because she controlled them, they weren't all over porn sites. You had to specifically search her name. She wasn't being fed to the top because she had a different way of making money. Exclusivity. She made her stuff exclusive. Not exclusive in that nobody can get it, but exclusive in that she doesn't do much of it. And it's always with, she looked at it differently. She had a tequila. She had a gentleman's club that she owned in Oklahoma. She's a Fort Worth girl. That's why she was so close to the 105.3 station and our show in particular. She was from Fort Worth. Grew up here her whole life, moved and bought property in Oklahoma just across the border. She had a kid. That kid's probably 18, 19 years old now. That kid's probably a grown up. Here's what I'll say about Jessie Jane, the porn star, before we get into what happened. She was nice. She's a really nice person. A lot of people, like listeners, radio station listeners and all that, they hear, us, spending 2 days in a row where, oh, Jessie's back again. Jessie can hang out with us today. And that's what she did. She would just hang out with us because she was a publicity machine. She knew the power of being ingratiated with this station here because she knew that then she could charge extra for the men's club or the lodge or whatever if they wanted her to come and dance for a night. She could walk out of these places with 20 grand. Just for one night. She's like, okay, I'll show up for an hour and I'll do a couple of dances and I'll walk around the room and that'll be $20,000 plus I get to keep all my tips. I mean, she knew it was a business and she always impressed me. It's not, and again, the listeners are always like, dude, did you ever, Jessie Jane slept on your couch? Yeah, she did. She showed up to a party that I was having and she crashed on the couch because she was drunk. Did you do it? No, of course not. That's people are like, they think that all the porn stars is just sex all the time. No, it's sex for money. It is sex for a contract. It is sex with specific people. That business at the upper levels where you have contract stars is not at all what people think. It's very antiseptic. Anyway, I liked her. and I know that Kelly liked her, and I know that Sybil liked her, and I know that James liked her, and I know that Eric liked her. I know that everybody who got to spend time with Jessie Jane liked her. She was kind, and she was sweet and funny. She was funny, and she was vibrant. And she's dead. She died. Well, I'll read you the story, okay? This is how TMZ reported it this morning. Porn star Jessie Jane dead at 43 after apparent OD. Now, the last couple of years, there have been a number of incidences with Jessie where she has been intoxicated, highly intoxicated in public. There was one scene a couple of years ago on the Vegas Strip that TMZ ran with where she was being carried by friends and she was laughing and yelling. Jessie was probably an alcoholic. I will say that. I have partied with her. I've been out and hung out and dinner and all that. She was an alcoholic. She was probably always drunk, always a little bit drunk. She had great damage. I don't know what her childhood was like. I don't know what family life was like when she was coming up, but there was obvious damage there. And I don't know what she's like in her, darkest moments when you close the bedroom door and she's talking to you about her life. I don't know about that, but I do know that it seemed to me that she overcompensated for being a broken bird by being just incredibly accommodating and generous and kind to everyone that she saw. That was her way of making herself feel comfortable because she was beautiful. I mean, she was beautiful. She was a beautiful woman. Like, my God, when did porn stars get this pretty? Porn star Jessie Jane dead at 43 after apparent OD. Cops find her and her boyfriend during a welfare check. Jessie Jane, a well-known porn star and one of the biggest from the 2000s, has died alongside her boyfriend who passed away, and it sounds like their death is drug-related. Law enforcement sources tell us the famed adult film actress was found dead at her home Wednesday in Oklahoma. We were told police responded to this residence on a welfare check, and then they got there. Our sources say officers discovered both Jessie and her boyfriend, Brett Hassenmuller, deceased. We're told the welfare check request was actually placed by Brett's employer, who hadn't heard from him in a few days, so this probably happened over the weekend. Probably didn't show up for work on Monday, and people went, well, he'll show up, and then when he didn't show up on Tuesday, they're like, huh. It's unclear how long exactly Jessie and Brett might have been dead at the house, and an exact cause of death isn't known. An investigation is underway, and the medical examiner will make a final determination. Now, this is why it was interesting to me, because I knew that she was an alcoholic. It's kind of clear to me that Jessie was always drunk. She was always a little bit drunk. She was always up for shots. Let's do more shots. She was that girl. She was the fun girl. But she was sweet, I mean, I don't know. It's kind of shocking. All right, so here we'll look at a couple pictures of her. Excuse me. Fentanyl. I'm going with fentanyl. I'm absolutely going with fentanyl. I never saw her use drugs. That wasn't the crowd that we ran in. We were drinkers and maybe some weed smoking back in the backyard by the garage. Some people, some long hairs, whatever. That was about the extent of our illicit drug activity when we would throw our parties. So I never saw her. I mean, I saw her. We played quarters. We played party games together. She was a delightful woman and complicated and had problems. But man, all you can do is just talk about what you remember, what your experience was. So let's look at some pictures of her and then we'll move on. The beautiful Jessie Jane dead at 43 years old. All right, so here's Jessie. Let's see here. There she is. So, like I said, I never saw her do drugs, never thought of her as a druggie. Knew she was a drinker, knew she was delightful, so kindly, cool, not a problem, not like a high man. I don't want to go there. Up for anything all the time. Is it fun? Yeah, it's pretty good. My friend owns it. Oh, let's go then. That's who she was, like in the group when the group was moving from one place to another. Okay, so there you go. There she is on stage winning a whole bunch of awards. That's, of course, her on the right. I don't know who the other people are, but there you go. Yeah, we don't need that. There's a picture of her with a whole bunch of other porn stars. She's the prettiest. Okay, here, let's see. Here, okay, look at this. We got a little bit of a. Let's watch this. Let's see in her own words. Oh, beep, bop, boop. What happened? Hold on. Why can't I play that? Yeah, we'll watch it on YouTube. That's what we'll do. We'll just go and watch it on YouTube. Would be better. Oh, shut up. The dog is now like crying like she wants to go out. I might have to let the dog out. But here we go. Let's watch a little interview with Jessie just to get an idea of what her personality was like. This looks like an interview with NBC News. This is like a real interview she did. All right, here we go. Let's see what this is.
So you want to be a brand, basically.
I want to be a brand, exactly.
So what is part of the Jessie Jane brand? Because there are a lot of beautiful girls out there. A lot of them have blonde hair, just like you.
Yeah.
They've got big breasts.
Yeah.
What differentiates you from the rest?
I think that I'm more personable. I love meeting my fans. I know that my fans make me who I am, and I interact with them.
That's me, it's me.
Which is why Jane is mobbed at events like this, the Adult Entertainment Expo in Las Vegas.
Do you ever say no to a fan when they ask for your picture or your autograph?
Oh no, you know what? Only if I'm in the middle of something else would I ever say no.
But Jane seems comfortable in the spotlight and on the red carpet. At the AVN Awards, which some call the Oscars of porn, Jane wins Best All-Girl Sex Scene for this 9-minute scene in Pirates 2.
All right, we don't need. Jeez.
Jane may rack up the accolades for the 5 to 6 movies she makes a year as a contract performer for Studio Digital Playground, but it's her off-camera work that is the most lucrative.
I make a lot more of my money off not on the contract, off set, off camera.
At store signings, hosting parties, and dancing at clubs like this one in San Diego.
How much could one make dancing at a club, or how much could one make hosting a party?
If you're smart about it, you make thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. I don't dance a lot, and I pick 7 or 8 places a year to go. And the more exclusive you are, the even more money you make, because you're not doing it and people want you at their club because it is exclusive.
Pornography has been
there. You have it. That's Jessie Jane, dead at 43. Old friend of the Pugs and Kelly show. She was a lovely little broken bird. That's what I'll say. That's what I'll say. Enjoyed her. She had carte blanche with the show. Hey, Jessie called. She wants to come by today, can't she? Yeah, tell her to come on by. She was fun, smart. She was witty. She played along with stuff. She was great. I gotta let the dog out. What's going on, baby? You gotta. Okay, I gotta be right back. We gotta let the dog out. Dog's got the gravy train shits. All right. Go on. That's what you tune in for. You tune in for, well, the distraction, I'm sure, but you also tune in for the best coverage of dead porn stars anywhere on YouTube or Facebook. Okay, so let's move on from Jessie. That was the thing that stopped me in my I didn't see that coming this morning. I was like, geez. Yeah. Here's what I think happened. She started to age. I think this has a lot to do on the psyche of a young woman who I'm going therapy on her right now, okay? So I think that there was probably a significant amount of abuse in her life growing up. She's gorgeous. I mean, she sexual harassment and abuse probably followed her whole life. And I think that she realized very early on that was her power. that her weapon, that her way of protecting herself was to always let men think that if they're nice to her, you know what I mean, they could get her. Like that's, and I think that when that's what you build your persona around, that's like your number one way of protecting yourself from the outside world. And then you start to age and you start to see, you hit 30, you hit 35, you hit 37, you hit 38, and you start to realize, oh, now there's a new 22-year-old or whatever. I don't know that the business and the lifestyle that she was in was good for, you know, somebody. This happens a lot, man. Happens so much more than I think we realize, because there are so many adult film stars. So many of them die in their 40s. They just suicide, drug overdose, whatever it is. You don't see many 70-year-old porn stars. You just don't. Seika? What's Seika? How's Marilyn Chambers and Seika? Barbara Dare. Look at me going deep on first-generation porn stars. Yeah. All right, moving on. Fentanyl. I'm thinking it's fentanyl. Her and her boyfriend dead in the bed. They were doing drugs. They partied fentanyl. Look, I think the Kansas City Chiefs, I think they were partying and they're dead now from fentanyl. And Kansas City Chiefs fans, not the actual team. The Kansas City Chiefs fans, that story there, I think that's fentanyl. I mean, people don't just die, right? They don't just. And now Jessie Jane and her boyfriend. Jessie Jane dead at 43. Let's see. We got an artist here in New York. Remember that law? Remember that adult sexual? Okay, so New York enacted the law that if somebody sexually harassed you 15 years ago, it's not. We're extending the what do they call that? The time that you can file, whatever it is. They made it okay for people to file charges on old, stale accusations up until a couple of months ago, like December the 1st or something was the deadline. And we saw all of these people filing suits against Puffy and against everybody. Everybody was getting them. And that's what this was. It's a law, and it was set to expire, and you had to get your. So here's another one. So here's a story that came out of this. So there's a nude model who is suing the Museum of Modern Art in New York City because 20 years ago, actually, I don't know how long ago we find it. It was a long time ago. Because a long time ago, he was doing an art installation. He was posing as a nude model for all these people to walk by. And he says people touched him. And now he wants millions of dollars from the Museum of Modern Art 17 years later. Filed it at the deadline. He did. It says here, a performance artist has sued the Museum of Modern Art, saying that officials neglected to take corrective action after several visitors groped him during a nude performance for the 2010 retrospective. Marina Abramovic, the artist, is present. Oh, God, does that sound pretentious? The allegations were submitted this week in New York Supreme Court, with the artist, John Bonafide, seeking compensation for emotional distress, career disruption, humiliation, and other damages. Oh, stop it. 14 years ago, man. All right. How about this one? Here's an interesting one. Did you know that David Lee Roth and Wolfgang Van Halen, Wolfie Van Halen, Eddie's kid, Eddie and Valerie Bertinelli's kid, Wolfie's got a metal band out there. It's called Wolfgang. And it's he's a bass player, which, yeah, right? I'm surprised he's not a drummer. I'm surprised he didn't take after old Uncle Alex. Because if you're Eddie Van Halen's kid, you don't want to be a guitar player. You just don't want that smoke. You don't want to constantly be the son of the greatest guitar player of all time, who, oh, by the way, is also a guitar player, but not nearly as good as his dad. You don't want that. So he picked up the bass. So Wolfgang Van Halen is now a bass player, and he's got a band, Wolfgang. And by the way, so Van Halen is trying to get back together. It's there's this whole thing. There's hey, let's get back together for an anniversary tour, and they're doing all this. And Wolfgang Van Halen will be the bass player. Don't know why that's a thing. Don't know why Wolfgang Van Halen would be the bass player when Michael Anthony is still out there. And oh, by the way, Michael Anthony and Sammy Hagar and Steve Vai are going on tour this year, and they're going to play nothing but Van Halen stuff. So honestly, that sounds closer to the Van Halen that I want than Wolfgang von Halen and David Lee Roth. David Lee Roth was the one they were gonna like the Wolfgang Van Halen tribute tour was going to be fronted by David Lee Roth. But apparently they can't get along, and they are talking shit about each other, so that is not going to happen. So if you want to hear some Van Halen, you're just going to have to go see Steve Vai, Sammy Hagar, and Michael Anthony, which, can I be honest, that sounds awesome. That really does. Who's the drummer? Hey, is Alex Van Halen alive? Is Alex Van Halen still alive? I don't even know. I think he is. Why ain't he drumming? Anyway, moving on. Dave and Wolfie. Dave fires shots at Wolfgang Van Halen, calling him that effing kid. Ooh, that's a bit patronizing. That effing kid, like very dismissive of him. David Lee Roth fires shots at Wolfgang Van Halen, repeatedly referring to him as this effing kid. Van Halen ended as a band with the 2020 passing of guitarist Eddie Van Halen, but tensions between the surviving members remain. Singer David Lee Roth launched a broadside on YouTube Wednesday against Eddie's son, Wolfgang Van Halen, who played bass with the band Van Halen from 2007 to 2015 and is currently finding success with his own band, Wolfgang. In a video, Roth repeatedly calls Wolfgang this effing kid, as well as a schmiel, which means fool in Yiddish. I love it when David Lee Roth turns into an old Jewish man. He does it from time to time. And you know why he does it? Because he is. David Lee Roth is an old Jewish man. He's also David Lee Roth. So again, people are complicated. So yeah, so he's shooting, not even catching strays. He is directly targeting Wolfgang Van Halen by calling him this effing kid. And then he calls him a schmiel, like the old Yiddish Jewish man word. I love Dave. Dave is so awesome. By the way, Dave is my preferred Van Halen singer. Just so we're clear. Why do you hate Sammy? I don't hate Sammy. What? I don't hate Sammy. I love Sammy. I've seen Sammy solo. Don't tell me I hate Sammy. 1, 2, 3 lock box. I know Sammy. I like Sammy. Sammy's not Van Halen. That's all I'm saying. Oh, you can't handle that? Well, grow up. Sammy ain't Van Halen. David Lee Roth is Van Halen. Van Halen died after 1984. After Eddie decided that he was going to go keyboard heavy. That's it. And then we all thought, well, that's why they broke up. Dave left the band because Eddie started playing keyboards and Dave wanted to rock. And then we're all like, yeah, because Dave's the rocker. And then Dave makes an album where it's just old like song and dance songs. Going crazy from the heat or whatever. You know, I'm just a gigolo. And yeah, Dave's the rocker. Yeah, Dave was the problem. Dave, stop it. Anyway, but that is I'm just the gigolo. Remember that when Dave all of a sudden became like a vaudeville performer for an album? That was weird. We accepted it though, because we love Van Halen. By the way, David Lee Roth solo, Skyscraper. Incredible album, incredible band. You want to talk about, or wait, no, was it Skyscraper? Was it Eat 'em and Smile? Whatever. David Lee Roth, when he decided to go, hey man, let's rock. And he brought in Steve Vai. Was it Steve Vai? I think it was Steve Vai. I don't know. When he brought in, Eddie's replacement in Steve Vai. No, it wasn't Steve Vai. It was David. What? Why are you here? Well, remember that song? Yankee Rose? He was good. Anyway, I like David Lee Roth, but don't make no mistake. He's an old Jewish man and he's mad at Wolfie. Okay, the dog is barking. So I let the dog in. It's going to take like a second here because the yard, there's mud. I got to clean her paws because she's going to try and jump in the bed. Just give me a second. Hold on. I'll give you the play-by-play narration off mic if that's something you're into. All right, come on, girl. Nope. We got to do pause. Give me your pause. Sit. Good girl. Okay, give me a paw. Come on. Give me a paw. You good? Oh, you are surprisingly good. Okay, give me this one. Give me your paw. There you go. Okay, good girl. Go on, get in bed. All right. The dog is now dumped 4 times since 7 this morning. Her system's gonna have to, readjust to the cheap gravy train dog food that she's eating. All right, Wolfgang von Halen. Was it Satriani? No, it wasn't Satriani. Does anybody know who was David Lee Roth's guitar player when he left Van Halen? He went. It wasn't. No, I don't know. Anyway, we'll move on. Why are we moving on? Here's why we're moving on, because we've got to talk about, if you're Gen X, they're remaking a movie that just, for me, one of my all-timers. So we've talked about this before, but it's getting close to the time when we will all get to go and watch Roadhouse, the remake. Roadhouse, the Patrick Swayze movie from the late 1980s. So stupid. Such a stupid movie. Such a dumb movie. If you watch Roadhouse now and you can't, it's just every line is hysterical. It's just such a clown show of a movie, while at the very same time being awesome. I love Roadhouse. I love it. I love everything about it. And not from a pretentious, it's so bad, it's good. No, it's really bad, but it's not good because it's really bad. It's good because I don't know. I don't know why it's good. It's not so bad, it's good. It's not in that category. It's legitimately a good movie that is also a bad movie. Like, it's like a dumb movie, but whatever. I don't know. Whatever. These movies and songs, we people who were there when they were released, we can't be counted on to give you a full, because we have a sentimental attachment to it, right? So I love Roadhouse because why? Because I saw it with a girl I was really into. Oh my God, remember that date? That was such a great date. And I saw Roadhouse. Oh, I love that movie now. We laughed. So I can't tell you. I was Roadhouse. Someone just watching Roadhouse for the first time may not have that sentimental attachment to it. So, they'd be like, that movie's stupid. I'm like, yeah, I know, but it's good. So they're remaking Roadhouse, and they're remaking it legitimately. Like they're acknowledging that the first one was kind of stupid, but there is a great story to be told here. And what if we did it with smart writers? And what if we did it with a good director? And what if, all due respect to Patrick Swayze, what if we cast in the role of Dalton like a real good actor, like somebody who you would never expect to do? Roadhouse was a B movie. It was a teenage summer B movie. It became a big hit. Sleepers is what they're called, but it wasn't intended to be the iconic film. It was intended to be a stupid movie about people fighting in bars. But it crossed over that thing and it became something else. So they're remaking Roadhouse. The director of Roadhouse, I guess the premiere, or they did something. There was some big thing for Roadhouse. It's going to debut at South by Southwest, a couple of weeks. But they did a big premiere party for Roadhouse, where the director of Roadhouse, what's this dude's name? This guy, let's get into this guy's story, because who's the director? He's directed some other things that were pretty good too. And I'm like, oh, that's a good director. Doug Liman. That's it. Doug Liman. Doug Liman, the director of the forthcoming remake of Roadhouse, has said that he will be boycotting the official premiere of the film over Amazon Prime's decision for a streaming-only release. So here's his complaint. So Roadhouse ain't going to be in theaters. It's going to be only on Amazon Prime. It's going to debut on Amazon Prime, which, let me tell you, yes, totally okay with that. Good. It's what we pay $11 a month for. So I don't have to put shoes on and drive to a movie theater and sit next to somebody who hasn't worn deodorant in 3 days. I like this. But he doesn't like it. Doug Liman, the director, doesn't like it because when he signed on to direct this film, he was told that it was going to be a theatrical release. And so he shot the film, to hear him tell it, in a manner that was best suited for the big screen. And now Amazon, because of the way he feels that theaters are going away, and this is a way for him to take a stand and say, I, as a director, will not any longer participate. Yeah, you will. Shut up. You want to watch the trailer? Do you guys want to watch a trailer for Roadhouse? I do. Let's watch it together. I love Roadhouse. So they do. They have a full trailer. The director again. Oh, by the way, the director goes on to say he's boycotting the premiere, but he won't be boycotting the other things because he would like it known that he thinks this is the best movie that he has ever directed, and he thinks that this is Ward caliber filming. He thinks that this is a really good movie. And there have been a number of leaks from people who have seen the first cut of the movie who are also saying that. They're going, wow, like Roadhouse was a stupid movie, but this Roadhouse is actually kind of good. It's like really, people could be nominated for awards for this. Anyway, let's watch it. It is, his name is Dalton, but I don't understand if there's a connection. Like, are they going to say like, oh, it's his son or whatever? It's been updated, the story of Roadhouse. Jake Gyllenhaal, who plays Dalton. Jake Gyllenhaal is a former UFC fighter, a former UFC middleweight fighter who gets wrangled to be the bouncer at a Florida Keys Roadhouse. And that's the movie. That's the premise of the movie. But his name is Dalton. So let's watch this. Let's see what this looks like. Here's the official trailer for the all-new Roadhouse, starring Jake Gyllenhaal and directed by Doug Liman, who is not going to be participating in the premiere because he wanted it to be a movie in theaters, and instead it's just going to be on Prime. Here we go.
Before we start, do you have insurance?
What?
Your coverage good? Like, you have dental?
Oh, haha.
Is there a hospital nearby? Is it, like, too far?
About like 25 minutes, I'd say.
Oh, I just slapped you. Are you all right?
What?
So you like to fight? You ever win?
No one ever wins a fight.
This ain't the Holiday Inn, pal.
I'm moving.
A friend of mine suggested I come talk to you. I own a roadhouse out in the Florida Keys. Lately, it's been attracting the wrong clientele. I can pay you good money. Judging by your car, you need that shit.
Well, I like my car.
Think about it.
I know who you are. Elwood Dalton. Big fan, man.
That guy's got a knife under his shirt. You just take a big step back and pop me in the face. You can do it.
Tell me about this bouncer.
He acts all nice and shit, like he's Mr. Rogers or something, but then he beats the living shit out of you. Really interesting guy, overall.
Rant wants to take the roadhouse away from me. He wants to build some bullshit resort for a bunch of rich assholes.
I should warn you, people have a certain way of getting things done around here.
Hey, fellas. Looks like you're having a smashing night. Dalton! I got a tip for you. Don't let no one get this close.
Let me guess. You're gonna threaten me? Tell me to get out of town?
I get the impression that you can't be threatened. Once Knox is on the job, it's over, baby.
It takes a lot to get me angry, but when I am, I just can't let go. People seem a little aggressive around here.
Is that one a friend of yours?
No, I just broke his arm.
Come on. Roadhouse. Come on. That looks awesome. That looks awesome. That is something to look forward to. It's going to be on Prime. Here's the other thing that I want to make known about that. I don't know if you guys, does the greater audience understand what I'm about to say? Or am I just speaking to a very small group of people who already understand this and have understood this for quite some time? When I say that this is the movie that is going to make Conor McGregor a freaking movie star. That's right. Been saying it for years. He ain't going to be a movie star because I don't like him. Oh, shut up. Yeah, you don't have to like him. That dude is charismatic. That dude eats up scenery. Did you see those scenes that they cut with Conor McGregor? He destroyed every scene. You couldn't take your eyes off of him. Jake Gyllenhaal, who? Conor McGregor is eating the scenery. He's going to be a star, man. He's going to be a star. That doesn't work like that. Really? Ask Mr. fucking T. Mr. T did the exact same. I am telling you, this is going to lead to another thing. Conor McGregor will do this. And then all of a sudden, it'll be like a reboot of Speed starring Conor McGregor. He's going to be a movie star. He's going to be a movie star. He is, and if he can act at all, because he has the natural, God-given, charismatic magnetism that stars need. Anyway, that looks really good. I can't wait to see it. You couldn't, in that clip where she's like, do you ever win a fight? And he's like, nobody ever wins a fight. I mean, they couldn't have given us the pain don't hurt. They couldn't have given us that line. You know he's going to have to say that line. If he doesn't say that line in that movie, I'm going to be upset. Because that's a call-out line. That's like if you're seeing the new Roadhouse and he's in there getting stitched up and she says, does it hurt? And Jake Gyllenhaal doesn't say, pain don't hurt. We're going to boo. We're going to be mad. And if he does say it, I'm going to be the first guy to stand up in that movie theater and go, yeah, there it is. Pain don't hurt. I love Roadhouse. I'm going to go watch Roadhouse tonight. That's how dedicated I am. That's how pumped I am. You guys ever seen Next of Kin? Look, I can do a whole Patrick Swayze thing because although I have zero regard for Patrick Swayze as an actor, as a talent, I have the utmost regard for him as a movie star. And there is a difference between movie stars and actors. I don't really consider Patrick Swayze an actor. But as a movie star, oh my God, Next of Kin. I love that movie. That's my favorite. People are always like, well, how is that your favorite Patrick Swayze movie? Because Liam Neeson plays a hillbilly from Kentucky and he plays a hillbilly from Kentucky really badly. It was like, when did Liam Neeson learn how to act? Because he's like a good actor now. But when you see him in Next of Kin as some inbred Kentucky dude, it's like really half the time he's speaking with an Irish accent. It's like, well, they don't have Irish accents in Kentucky. I love that movie, Next of Kin. It's about Patrick Swayze plays a hillbilly who moves up to the big city and gets on the wrong side of the mafia. And so the mafia comes after him. He's up there all alone in the big city. So he calls down to his kin in Kentucky. And they come up and it's like hillbillies versus the mafia. Next of Kin. Incredibly stupid movie. Wonderful watch, though. Wonderful to just watch. Good movie. What else did he do? Black Dog. Big fan of Black Dog. Patrick Swayze as a trucker. Okay, I'll buy. What else did he do? One of my least favorite Patrick Swayze movies is the one he did with Keanu Reeves, Point Break. I wasn't a fan of that one. Dirty Dancing. I've come around on Dirty Dancing. I hated Dirty Dancing. Here's why I hated Dirty Dancing as a kid. I'll tell you why. Thanks for asking. Dirty Dancing occupied an entire theater at the discount movie theater in my neighborhood growing up. And that's fine if it just wants to occupy that theater for about, 2 or 3 weeks. And then we've all seen it. Now let's get rid of Dirty Dancing and let's move something else into that. Because there were 2 theaters in town. One was like the first run, really good theater. And then there was like the discount theater that only cost $1.50. In that theater, you saw movies that were released at the expensive theater like 2 weeks before. Like 2 weeks, and then they go to the discount theater. There was only like 4 screens at the discount theater. And that damn Dirty Dancing was there for 2. Are you ready for it? Years. Not months. You thought I was going to say months. 2 years. Bremerton Mall. Dirty Dancing. I'm like, ugh. Well, there's only 3 theaters now because Dirty Dancing is never going away. We should go see Dirty Dancing again, girlfriends. So, of course, I saw it like 15 times. Nobody puts baby in the corner. And now, all these years later, I love Dirty Dancing. I do. I love it. Funny movie. Oh, God. Got a little thing going on here. Hi, Jeff. Red Dawn. That's right. Red Dawn was great. Yeah, KB artist. He knows what I'm talking about when I talk about the $1.50 movie theater, Brementown Mall. Just 4 screens. That's all we had. We had 4 screens, 4 movies, 4 potential movies that would cost us no more. Kids, no more than $1.50. We could handle that, but one of them was occupied for 2 years by Dirty Dancing. And I was like, Jesus. You know, and they also did it with Prince, Purple Rain. Purple Rain also occupied a theater at the discount movie theater for a long time. But I didn't have a problem with that one. I don't know why. Okay, I got nothing else. Red Dawn is really good. I forgot about Red Dawn. Here's the thing, though. I don't consider Red Dawn a Patrick Swayze movie. That's why I didn't like... It's a movie Patrick Swayze's in. But like a Patrick Swayze movie is like, you know, the ones I mentioned, where he's the star. But he's great, Red Dawn. Red Dawn is great. Love Red Dawn. Tried to get my son to watch it like a couple of years ago. Like I'm like, this will be something he'll be into. He thinks he's a badass. So we started watching Red Dawn, and he was like, when was this made? And I'm like, like the mid-'80s. Oh, can we ever watch something that was made this century? Sure. All right. Yeah, so we didn't make it. We didn't make it through Red Dawn. It's, you know, when I try to introduce him to a movie, there's a lot of moving parts. Like, he has to have had at least an hour before I introduced the movie to him of really settled calm, like where he's not angry about something, where he's not just going to reject my idea because he's angry at the world and I'm the person that he can take it out on. Because that's, you know, what a lot of our fights are about. He's mad about something else, so he's snotty to me. And I don't let him be snotty to me. He's snotty to me. I'm snotty right back. And all of a sudden, we're yelling at each other. Problem with that is now he's 14 years old and he could probably whip my ass. I am not kidding. Holy shit. I was talking to a dad about that the other day. Like, when did you realize your son could kick your ass? And he defiantly said, I don't know. I'll let you know when it happens. And I looked at him and I went, dude, that ship has sailed. Your kid would whip your ass. Your kid is a 25-year-old lumberjack and you're 63 with a blown prostate. Yeah, you know what? Stop it. And it happened for me this year. I just can't. I can't outmuscle him anymore. He's stronger than I am. Stronger and he's bigger. Oh, and then, you know, he went to his football camp last week. His uncle E, you know, has a private coach for his son who's a center. So my kid, who's also a center, went to Uncle E's private football coaching camp, which was awesome, by the way. So everybody should have an Uncle E. And he didn't bring, all he had were expensive Jordans that he got for Christmas, like really expensive, brand new Jordans. And he's like, I can't practice in these. And he brought those in flip-flops. I'm like, well, dude, you got to bring gym shoes. Why don't you ever bring gym shoes? He's like, well, I'll just wear yours because I got a whole bunch of gym shoes. And then he made a big show of pulling out like 5 different pairs of my gym shoes and trying them all on, like a big show of it. Like, he's like, okay, got to try this tiny little thing. Oh, this doesn't fit. He mocked me. He mocked me for about 20 minutes until he found a shoe that could support his giant freak foot. Seriously, I wear an 11.5. He's like already at a 13. It's like, geez. So yeah, that ship has sailed. He could kick my ass. Although he wouldn't, because I still have like a severe mental advantage over him. Like I know his buttons and I know how to look at it. Well, you know what I mean? He's not a horrible person. So he wouldn't use the fact that he could probably smash my skull against me. Because I would then use some like dad stuff. Like I'd be like, oh, wow. I never thought this day would come. And then I leave the room. And then he comes in like 5 minutes later. He's like, what was that about? I just feel so emotionally broken. I'm like, yeah, see, I manipulated you emotionally. I made you think you let your dad down. Who cares if you can punch me in the face? You need my respect. You need my, anyway. I'm pushing because we're out of show. Did you know we're out of show? We're out of show and it's only, you know, it's only 1:43. So I feel guilty when I don't give you the full show. Barney Styles says he fights dirty. Kevin says, "Isn't that the weirdest? My son is taller than me and could whip." Yeah, well, my kid's much taller than me. He was so worried for so many years because I'm 6 foot even. He's like, "Oh, I better be 6 foot." He's already 14 and he's right there. He's right there. But it's his hands. It's his hands and his feet that are just like freakishly large, like much larger than mine, which is good because that's good. I'm not a particularly big man. We're slight Irish people. The only reason there's a perception that maybe I can do something because I'm fat, because I'm a little bit heavier, but that's really not an advantage in any way. It just means I'm more tired. Says, so then you understand why women have to use other kinds of manipulate. Why does every just nice conversation have to turn into something that Adam is trying to make a divisive my side, your side thing? Why? Why? Yes, I do understand why women and their wiles, if you will, their abilities come in handy. I don't know that I ever said I don't understand that, but okay. He's trying to paint me because everybody's got to be on the other side. And when you identify that they're on the other side, you have to fucking hurt them. You have to say something that will, and not hurt them like, stab them in the face. I mean, hurt them by, I'm going to say something mean that I hope lands emotionally and they think about it and then feel bad. Like, what is that? What is that inclination? What is that drive? Don't do that anymore, Adam. If you truly think I'm a bad person worthy of your scorn and contempt, then I guess we don't understand each other. But if you just know that I'm just a big dumb guy who's got the best of intentions and I don't want anybody hurt and I'll fight for the right side when it comes time, leave me alone. Oh, look at me getting all maudlin here at the end of the show. And he says, because you literally called actresses crazy for that. No. That's a completely different thing. That is a completely different thing. All right. Barney says he's calling back to your actresses go to hell thing. No, actresses go to hell because they're mean. Because they are purposefully mean in order to get a reaction so that they can then react or drum up the appropriate response. Everything is an acting exercise to an actress. That's why they go to hell. Everything. They're just emotionally blank. My father died. They're not really crying. They don't care that their father died. They're literally just performing because this is how a daughter acts when her father dies. Your father abandoned you at 2. You never met him. Actresses. They're awful. Just go to a college where it's nothing but actresses. You'll see. Go meet young ones. And I don't know, maybe the ones that get famous are different. I'm just talking about theater chicks. Theater chicks go to hell. They're all crazy. Anything else? Frank Smith, actresses are hot. Some of them, yes, of course. It's not the only thing an actress needs to be, but yes, actresses are hot. Thank you, Frank. Let's see here. See, Adam, he's pointing out your logic flaw. See, why are you compelled to do that? Why do you think it's your job to tell somebody they're wrong? This is what I don't get. And it would be, and then Adam, whom I love and have great admiration for. But this is who he is constantly. This is, it's not like every once in a while he's like, hey, man, that's too far. It's like everything. And I enjoy it because, look, it's allowing me. I would have ended the show 20 minutes later or earlier. Jeff says, no, not engaging in that. All right. I don't want the chat people. When I have a thing with a chat person, I do not want you people getting involved and taking sides. That ain't cool. That's when it starts to be uncool. That's where I start to become a dictator. Like, get him in the chat room. Adam and I go back super far. So we know what this is. We know what our dynamic is. We're friends. All right. I'm done with the show. I love you guys. We'll be back tomorrow at noon. Somebody sent me something. They said, They said, so you're just not going to be doing nighttime streams anymore, eh? Well, here's the thing about that. Maybe, but only because this one might be going away. This noon one might be going away, and I may, or let's put it this way: the noon show may be moved. There are some things that I am working on. Had a really good meeting yesterday. So stay tuned. I will continue to create Radio Misfit style content here daily. That's my pledge to you. But whether or not it's going to be this show continuing as it is, because the show is failing. We made it for 2.5 years. You guys did that. Thank you so much. But now we're like, seriously, guys, we're like $400 short, and we've got $8. We got 8 days left in the 5-6 days. So I'm not even gonna, like, we're not gonna get close to that. So this show is obviously no longer able to support itself. So we're gonna do some other things, but won't that be good? That'll be good, because then the content that I do will be free, and there won't be any like pressure, and you people will always be able to walk around going, hey, I kept that loser afloat for 2.5 years. And I will say, yes, you did. Thank you very much. Now, that's not to say if you're so inclined you shouldn't tip today, because you should, because we still got a whole bunch of shows left here. There is no end date for this. I'm just saying things might be changing, and I'll have some news for you. Okay. Frankie, me too, Pugs. I need $400. Yeah, you and me both, Frankie. What do you want to do? Meet me at the corner of Harry Hines and I don't know what any corners are there. Inwood. Let's meet at the corner there. We'll figure out a way to hustle up $800 between the two of us. Sorry you're going through some stuff, Frankie. He sent me a nice little note, and he was telling me about what's going on. So, Frankie, I love you, pal. I hope things straighten out for you. I hope things straighten out for all of us. By the way, Frank doesn't need your pity. It's not anything like that. It's just, Frank's a dude. And we talk. All right, guys, I got to get out of here. You guys are the best. I love you. Again, support the show if you can. If not, we're back here tomorrow at noon. Another noon show, the High Noon Rant. Love you guys. Bye.